Hello and welcome. Today we are in the Tier 10 Royal Navy destroyer, the Daring. We're playing on the map Shards, and I spawned on the very eastern side of my team, which means that I headed over towards the sea cap as quickly as I could. The plan is to park basically right here, try to take the cap. If an enemy destroyer like that Vampire 2 over there enters, I start shelling, I utilize my smokescreen, and just reverse in position basically while using my hydro in case that the enemy fires some torpedoes so I can easily avoid them. Wow, that Vampire has taken a lot of damage. So basically, for those who don't know, the Vampire 2 is very much like the Daring, except she doesn't have a heal, but she has more firepower and a smokescreen that lasts for an eternity. Well, like she can put a really long line of smokescreen down. Okay, there are the torpedoes from the Vampire. Those are easy. I don't need to do anything. Actually, are they Vampire? No, these are not Vampire torps. These are the Harakaze torpedoes. Okay, well, maybe Vampire didn't launch any torps after all. But she is definitely gonna go down here. She's down to 2000 HP. Yeah, goodbye Vampire 2. Nice knowing you. Well, actually, we're on the wrong team, so it wasn't all that nice knowing you. My smokescreen dissipated, but I have a new one in 12 seconds. So I think I'm gonna be alright. I should also be able to take this cap. I'm gonna launch some torpedoes, just in case. Maybe we'll catch something. It's not likely, but it's possible. There's a Pommern and a Lepanto and the Harakaze over here. From the enemy side, we have Yoshino, Friedrich the Grosse, Kagero, and well, me in the Daring. Which means that I like our chances. 2 battleships and a tier 8 destroyer versus, well, a tier 10 destroyer that's amazing in all kinds of ways. And well, we have more ships. Our CV was quite instrumental in this, and hopefully he'll continue to be useful for our team. Although I do think he's gonna focus on the other side of the map for now. If you look at the minimap, he is much closer to the A-cap and well, there's a Kiev pushing. So we probably won't see our CV here for a while. Ooh, Harakaze, 6 kilometers. You know what, I'm just gonna reverse, because we're gonna get some shots on the Harakaze in a moment. This is actually great. Although, I guess she is at 6 kilometers, and hitting small things like destroyers at this kind of range it gets harder the further they get, obviously, but destroyers in particular end up being quite hard to hit because they are pretty slippery. They can keep turning left and right a little bit, and this makes most shells actually miss. I also need to be careful not to stay spotted when the Lepanto rounds the corner, because when that happens, he will probably blap me for 1 billion damage. Although, I might still survive somehow, despite not having 1 billion HP. It's British magic, okay? Oh, actually, Lepanto isn't coming around the island. He's actually turning around and leaving. Ha! Well, I might as well shell him then with my HE. Because if I can start a fire, that'll be excellent. Basically, over here, we're just trying to hold the enemy off. We want to deal some damage while they are unable to take this cap. After all, we do hold B and C, so things are looking good for us. Time is in our favor. I mean, the enemy wins in 21 minutes by points, whereas we win in 6 minutes. So things are looking good. Although, because we got some help by the CV early on, perhaps we won't be able to win quite as hard on the other side of the map as a result. Oh, actually our FTG went down quickly. That's actually pretty bad, because now we don't have a battleship over here, but the enemy has 2 battleships. So we'll have to land some good torpedoes, and we'll try to stay alive with our Kageros, etc. Oh, actually the Henri is coming for the enemy team. This is actually worse than basically any of the other things here. Because the Henri's position means that he gets to flank our Yoshino. So the Yoshino has to turn towards the Henri, which means that the Yoshino ends up showing broadside to the Lepanto and eventually the Pommern. This means that our Yoshino is pretty much dead. You're not gonna survive this. And that means we're in trouble, because now it's just me as a daring and a Kagero versus Harekaze and 2 battleships. And an Onri, I guess. Come on, Yoshino, fire your torpedoes at the Onri. Maybe you'll get lucky. You never know. I'll try to help as much as I can, but there's no way we can deal with the Onri. Yep, Yoshino's down, unfortunately. Onri is sailing away, which I guess is useful, but that's a really fast ship. She might turn around at any moment and, well, trying to just chase us. Because, well, that's something the Onri can do. She is faster than my ship, for sure. I wonder if the Pommern and Lepanto will push. I do have to be careful of the Pommern. She does have a hydro, which means that she can end up spotting me, even while I'm in my smokescreen. I think the Lepanto is not going to advance on my position because, well, he is afraid of torpedoes, but the Pommern very well might. So I have to be extremely careful here. In fact, I am taking a bit of a risk here. Okay, Pommern is at 6 kilometers. I need to leave right now, because that hydro is up. I'm gonna hydro just in case myself as well, in case the Harekaze has launched torpedoes, and unfortunately I am spotted for a little bit here. And luckily I didn't take much damage as a result of this. But that was a really risky position. Now I don't expect those torpedoes to do anything, other than the fact that they'll make the enemy turn away even further, so it'll buy us some more time before the enemy gets to take the sea cap, but I think eventually the enemy is going to take the sea cap. I simply don't see a way to, well, survive this, or well, defend this really well. Especially when they have an Henri, because the Henri can very easily just chase us down because she is a faster ship than either of me or Kagero. But maybe we can try to take out the Henri by, I'll smokescreen and maybe Kagero just keeps spotting. It's possible, but I think unlikely, especially since the Henri seems to be going for the cap rather than anything else. Oh no, actually no! The Henri is not going for the cap. Okay, in that case I have to be a bit careful here, because it's possible that I'll get caught out by the Henri just like the Kagero is right now. And, well, the Kagero might be using a smokescreen here, but it's not gonna save him. Because the Henri knows exactly where... Never mind. I wanted to say the Henri knows exactly where he is, which means that the Henri can just speed boost directly in the direction of the Kagero, and there's nothing that Kagero can do because, well, she can't outrun the Henri. Anyway, the enemy's definitely getting the sea cap. I'm just gonna try to run. I'm not gonna... I wanted to smoke and fire, but I think it's a really bad idea, because the same thing applies to me. The Henri can run me down, and it would be extremely risky and difficult to try to survive this. So if I just make myself scarce, do it in a way where the Henri doesn't know where I am, perhaps I can survive and then maybe get some lucky tarps on one of the battleships, or maybe I'll run into the Harekaze, or maybe I can get some tarps on the Henri. It's possible, right? Because, look, the Henri probably doesn't think I'm here. Although he might, because he was spotted, but it's possible that he doesn't expect me to be exactly where I am. Because otherwise he'd probably just keep sailing directly at me, but it's possible, right? And so he might be surprised by the little green triangles that are moving towards him. Hopefully he is. I'm gonna turn around and start edging closer to the sea cap. Maybe I can run into the Harekaze again. Oh, Henri! Yeah, you look like you're in a bit of trouble, huh? Have some torpedo soup. Wow, that guy was gonna get hit by like 4 or 5 torpedoes. Well, Henri is down now. The problem is, well, my torpedoes take another minute and 10 seconds to reload. And unfortunately that means I can't torpedo this Lepanto. And it'll be, I think, foolish to fire my guns here. Because obviously if I fired my guns, well, the Lepanto would know exactly where I am. And if he runs away because of that, that's alright. But it's also possible that he decides to just YOLO me, and then he'd be close enough to just surface spot me, and because I don't have torpedoes, I can't do anything to defend myself, especially since the smoke screen only lasts for a little bit of time. I'd like to open up here with my guns, but unfortunately her guns were pointed in my direction, so it would be a bad idea. The other question is, where is the Pommern? Because we haven't seen the Pommern in quite a while. And it's possible she might just be around this island. And if she has a hydro up, I could get suddenly spotted and I'd probably be dead immediately as a result of that. Harekaze was spotted elsewhere on the map. Oh, there is the Pommern. I guess I can torpedo him, right? Since my torps are up, but I'm gonna wait until the Pommern finishes his turn, because right now it's kind of difficult to predict where his ship is going to end up being, because I don't know which kind of angle he's gonna take. He might go south, directly towards where the Vittoria Veneto is, or he might actually head up more north, where the Shikishima is. Either one is possible, but the angle that I have to launch my torpedoes at is going to be different. Not much, but at least a little bit. I'm gonna do the same thing that I did with the Henri. I'm gonna spread out my torpedoes, but this time I'm only gonna launch one launcher. And I'm gonna wait with the second one because I don't think I would be able to hit all the torpedoes anyway. Chances are that it's not gonna happen. I mean, look, the Pommern is turning right now, which means that if I launched all of my torpedoes in that, I might have missed everything. But it does seem that the Pommern didn't know the torps were there, he just kind of lucked out on that kind of a turn. And perhaps in this case, firing all my torps would have been nice, because if I had gotten 2 more hits, that would have been a dead battleship. But hey, we still have the second set, so we can always do the follow-up now, right? He's probably gonna sail roughly in the direction that the torpedoes came from, because that makes it easier to avoid for future torpedoes. But here I jumped the gun a little bit. I start firing too early, so the plan was to launch the torpedoes and then start firing my guns so that the Pommern turns into my torpedoes. But I start firing way too early. My torpedoes are nowhere close to the battleship. But it's also possible that the Pommern simply has a hydro up, which means that he would know where the torpedoes are and when they come. Also, I'm a bit too conservative with my smoke screens here. I kind of forgot the fact that the Royal Navy destroyers have a million smoke screens that reload quickly. I should have used one earlier and not taken any of the damage, but I don't think it'll matter. Still though, I would have saved some HP. By the way, the enemy team has all 3 cap zones. It is a 6 versus 6 right now. Although in a moment it'll be a 6 versus 5. The Pommern did spot me with his hydro, but it's a little bit too late. Goodbye. And now, I turn around, use my damage control party, get my engine speed to full, and head straight for the C cap. The Izumo is likely to take the A cap, and then we'll have 2 of the 3 cap zones again. Oh, and it's a 6 versus 4 now. Well done, Thunderer. Took out the Shikishima. Unfortunately, the Shikishima took out our Thunderer in return. I guess the shells were still in the air. I should definitely be able to take this C-cap. I think even if the CV interferes, it should be fine. Ooh, it's a 4-on-4 again. And the enemy still has all 3 cap zones, so we didn't actually get the A-cap. That's a bit of a problem. Okay, it's a 4-on-3 now, so it's less of a problem, but still. The enemy still has all 3 cap zones. The game ends in 4 minutes 30 seconds. The enemy wins in 3 minutes. But I think it'll come down to the actual timer of the match. Because, well, I'm gonna interrupt the enemy cap zone. And then I'm gonna head over towards the B cap. So chances are that it won't come down to enemy just getting to 1,000 points from the caps. Although ships being sunk could kick them over. So, some things to consider. In a situation like this, it's actually really important to know how fast your ship is. And when I say how fast your ship is, I'm not saying you should know that your ship goes 36.7 knots. No, that's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is, how quickly do you go 1 kilometer? How much time does it take in-game to go 1 kilometer for your ship? And the rule of thumb for destroyers is, A destroyer at full speed will go 1 kilometer every 10 seconds. That's the rough number. If you want to actually calculate, it's 160 meters of in-game distance in 1 minute, sorry, at 1 knot speed. So at 40 knots, you would multiply that by 40, so it would be 6.4 kilometers in 1 minute time when you're going 40 knots. So you can use that number to calculate different numbers from there. But yeah, the rough rule of thumb is 10 seconds for 1 kilometer at full speed on a DD. So in this case, for example, that B cap should be something like 6 kilometers from me, so it'll take me roughly 1 minute to get there at full speed. Also, you might see that I position myself on the edge of the cap here. That's precisely because I want to spend as little time as possible when I go from C to B now. I'm not gonna try to turn my ship or anything like that. I want to go directly full speed. Don't touch the rudder, nothing. I want to get into that B cap as early as possible. So another thing you might see, look, I zoom in and I try to aim at the buoys that are the cap border. And in the middle you can see it's 4.2 kilometers from me, right? I do that to have an estimate on how far I am, and then, you know, use the rule of thumb, 10 seconds for 1 kilometer. 4 kilometers means it'll take me 40 seconds. So we'll have a good 1 minute and 30 seconds of time still left when I enter the cap. So I'm gonna be able to take the cap and we'll take some points from it. Oh, and Akizuki actually got the A cap. That is excellent news. Although there's a Lepanto bearing down on her position, and they have a CV. Oh, and the Lepanto actually took out our battleship. So now we're 80 points behind. I wonder if we can actually take up enough points. I guess we can't, because the enemy isn't gaining any points at all. Although, maybe we can just sink the Lepanto at this point, right? Akizuki and Daring together, they have a lot of firepower. And we can also utilize smoke screens because we have a CV that... Our CV has played really well this game. Like, truly. He has been instrumental in this match. Okay, Lepanto is actually turning in my direction. Interesting. I guess he's not going for the A-cap, but I don't know. Maybe he is simply bringing his guns about, so when Parseval spots the Akizuki, Lepanto can use all his guns. Nope, actually he has turned too far. Perhaps he's simply avoiding torps. Hard to say. I'm gonna be fine here, because I'm gonna be next to the island. If necessary, I can just go forward. But I think I'll just smoke and reverse, and just keep shelling the Lepanto. We're gonna take the points lead in a little bit, but I think we're definitely sinking this battleship here. There's no way he's gonna survive. And that should actually cement our victory, I think. Yeah, goodbye Lepanto, and the game ends in, well, 25 seconds. I don't see how the enemy can come back here anymore. Right? Because Akizuki has too much HP for the CV to kill him. I have too much HP. I don't know about the Graf Zeppelin, but even one ship going down isn't gonna be enough, right? And there's only 10 seconds. And, well, that's game. Remember, guys, daring is caring. Wait, no, I don't think that's actually... Never mind. Well, I would say this was an excellent daring game. Like, truly excellent. And I really like the daring. It's a really strong destroyer in my opinion. 157k damage, sank 3 ships, hit 8 torpedoes, kept 3 bases as well. Well, twice 1 base. 2316 base XP. Wow! That Akizuki got 2313, only 3 XP less. But yeah, they definitely deserve the compliments here. And look at the difference in CVs, right? Look at how well our CV played compared to theirs. I mean, their CV obviously still did things, right? He prevented the A-cap from being taken, but ours definitely did more. And I'd say 8 torpedoes on a daring is actually really good. You quite often don't get this many torp hits on this destroyer. Because it's not really a torpedo destroyer, it's more of a gunboat. So, let's take a look at the captain skills and upgrades. First captain skills though, so incoming fire alert. Then, I think you either need incoming fire alert or priority target. Incoming fire alert is only 1 point, so that's what I go for. Then last stand, survivability expert, concealment expert, and then adrenaline rush. I think these are the main points. After that, you definitely want Superintendent because it gives you an extra heal, and then the following points aren't that important anymore because you can choose whatever you want. So I go for main armament specialist because it just improves my reload a little bit. But that's about it. I don't know, you can choose whatever you want there. Upgrades wise, I go for reload, then concealment. And the next slot, you obviously go for rudder shift. Then I go for torpedoes mostly because none of the other ones make much sense. Smoke generator modification 1 is something you could consider, but I don't think it makes that much sense on the Royal Navy destroyers. On the Vampire 2, I think that would make sense, but not on the Daring. Then in the second slot, Hydro, because obviously, you know, if you can have a longer Hydro, that's good. And then Main Arts Modification 1. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I would like to thank the patrons on Patreon. Thank you very much for your continued support, and I hope I'll see you guys next time.